All right.
I called it.
You did call it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you will hear some noise in the background of my stream today. That is because I have everybody home. Tim is currently cooking dinner, so the wonderful sizzling sounds you hear is my dinner cooking, and it sounds amazing. And the rocking you hear is Paco sitting over in the corner on chairs. Stop it. Okay, so I've managed to get my webcam and my laptop over to the other side of the room where I actually have my backdrops. So, hoping this works. Please let me know if it works. I see I have one person I don't know who it is. Please tell me who you are.
Yeah, nobody watching on here yet.
Okay. Yes. But nobody's saying anything yet. That's okay, because it's 8 o'clock and we're starting. Today's stream, we're talking about trees. We're going to talk about Paco. Close your mouth or leave the room. So, or come join me. Those are your choices.
Sure, why not?
Okay, cool. So today we're going to talk about, see, Paco.
Don't want my hair, it's a mess.
Mine is too, it's okay. We're going to talk about sacred trees and where they are and how they work in the world, like religion, mythology, why they're sacred, where they're at, where they're located. For instance, the Druids have an idea of 9 trees, whereas there are 11 sacred sites that have trees involved in them. Mythology has 12 trees, so this is our thing. I would like to thank Apocalypse Mom. She gave me the topic and then did most of the research for me. So I really just had to read the websites and put together today's talk. Was extremely helpful, as I got to do most of it myself. Or didn't have to do most of it myself, however you want to look at that. Anyway, so that's kind of my idea. All right, we're going to start now with, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. We're looking at something called ancientcode.com. And it talks about the 12 sacred trees of the world of mythology, and their meaning. If it wants to load for me. I accept that they value my privacy and they are not telling everybody that I went to their site.
All right.
Okay. So. The trees they have listed here are the Yggdrasil, the sky tree from Hungarian mythology, the shamanic tree, the world tree from Mesoamerican myth, the tree of knowledge from Christian mythology. They hate it when you call it mythology. The great oak, Celtic and Druid lore, the dawn tree from Baltic mythology, the cabal tree, the tree of life from Tengri, the Bodhi tree from mythology or Buddhist mythology, the tree of Jaset from Egyptian mythology, and a Vedic mythology, which I cannot pronounce. I'm going to destroy this, but I think it's Kalpavirksha. Kalpavirksha. Now the problem with these are that they're all said to go from here, and its roots go into the underworld, land of the dead, and into the great realms beyond. And there's 12 of them. And like I keep saying, with almost every religion that I come across, the great truth is that they're all the same. The Yggdrasil, the world tree, the great oak, the dawn tree, the Kabbalah tree, the tree of life, the tree of Jaset, and the Kalpavirksha. These are all pretty much Yggdrasil. They're the world tree. They're the tree that connects Earth with the realms of the gods and the realms of the underworld. And you climb the tree to get to heaven. You go descend the tree to get to the underworld. So, but I'll run through them. I have 2 people on YouTube and nobody's saying anything. Do a quick check on Facebook. It says I have 2 viewers. Nobody's saying anything. Please let me know who I've got and where I'm at. private message me if you can't get a message in. I'm going to continue because I do have my phone right here. So if you can't get a message there, text me or private message me. My Facebook looks a little weird today. So, but Yggdrasil was said to connect Middle Earth to the other 8 realms. Some made of fire and ice, other of light and darkness.
Got here a little late.
Okay, we're just talking about trees. We were discussing the 12 trees of sacred mythology, and he and how they're kind of the same. So like I was saying, Yggdrasil is connected, it connects Midgard or Middle Earth, where we are now, to the 8 other realms that are fire and ice, light and dark, the underworld, all of that. The world tree of Mesoamerica is seen as a gateway, or the Axis Mundi, which reached to the plains of the underworld and death and up into the sky and the world of the gods and the spirits. The sky tree from Hungarian myth had a series of branches to reach out to the 7 worlds, but these worlds all still touch the sun, the moon, the clouds, and other celestial spheres.
Sorry, I didn't even do that. Almost fell.
Hold on here, I've got some... It says my dad's watching. Thank you. I guess I've got some people on YouTube that I can't see. Hi, Ren. Hi, Steven. CC. I do not know. CC, is that Facebook or is that... Okay, so my Facebook is acting all wonky. I'm not getting the chat set up for some reason. That is a problem. Sorry, just getting a small hitch here, trying to figure out why I'm not getting my chat, because then I don't know what you guys are saying to me or who's coming in. Hit post. Huh. All right, let me see if interactive. Let me see if this works. I'm so sorry to pause this in the middle. I just want to make sure everybody can see. No. No. Sorry, I'm checking all my settings to see if there is something changing. I may have to end the live post and start again. Video signal from the video source for some time. Okay. Well, shoot. Okay, so Facebook is going to pause. I'm going to keep going on YouTube. I'm sorry. But all those watching on Facebook, please come back. I'm going to just start right back up. I had a problem with Facebook when I first started. It didn't want to go live for a minute, and I had to figure out what's happening. So we're just going to try it again. Hi, Apocalypse Mom. You're the only one watching now if you're still watching. My laptop is so lagging today. I don't know why. I've been doing this like 4 or 5 days in a row now. Crazy. All right, almost there. Almost there. Almost there. We can watch, but we can't see our messages. I'm trying to fix it, I promise. My house is so loud. Maybe I posted it wrong, so we're going to try this again. Accessing my camera. The light is on. Yay, okay. Go live. We're not going to say anything about it. We're just going to go. Hopefully I'll get back people, and I still don't have it chat up. But maybe Maybe it'll come up when I get viewers. Well, I've got the ability to write, so that's different now. I hope they all come back. Okay. Hey, there's Cece and Vonna. Yay, okay. I mean, Apocalypse Mom. Okay, cool. That made it work. All right, cool. I'm going to try to bounce back and forth. Let me try to pull up. I have a phone. Keep my chats on here on laptop and then information on my phone. Maybe that'll be easier. So anyway, we were talking about the 12 sacred trees of the mythological world. Trees of mythology. Ha, I found it. Ancientcode.com. I kind of want to just keep giving. Hi, Dad. I keep on giving props to these websites where I got them. So, okay. So like I was saying, these are kind of the same tree. They're the same kind of principle. The Yggdrasil believes it had the reaches to the 8 realms. The world tree has 3 or 4. Hungarians have 7. The dawn tree from the Baltic mythology was depicted with a copper trunk and golden trunk, copper roots, and silver leaves. The trunk represents life in the present, while the past was embodied in the roots. Life is past, the underworld, that kind of thing. Hey, Rin, thanks for coming back. The branches, however, were represented the future choices yet to be made. So in all of the world tree, there's a serpent at the base in almost every depiction. It typically guards the forbidden knowledge of the underworld, things you're not supposed to look into. No, don't go near there. Don't do it. So that's an important thing to remember, that most things that call themselves the world tree have some kind of serpent or guardian or quest. You can't go into the roots. You can't pass living into the underworld using these manner without passing this guardian. It was under the Bodhi tree. Hi, Sonia. Hi, Jennifer. It was under the Bodhi tree that Buddha was said to have gained actual enlightenment. And the Bodhi tree, we'll talk about again. It's in a different spot. That's one of the trees that is not necessarily mythology. That is said to actually have a physical place. The Kabbalah tree kind of represents, it's the tree of life, but it represents more of the journey. With it, you start in the branches and you descend into the underworld. But you learn the secrets of life itself and the universe and all of that as you descend and go down. The Druids have 9 trees, but they have one that is called the Great Oak. And it is that from which all other trees spawn. This is where everything starts. The Great Oak is said to actually hold God. But it's not so. I literally almost tried to use my laptop as a touchscreen, and that's unhelpful at all. That's dumb. So the Great Oak, some Druid legends say it holds the essence of God or the divine on earth, that kind of thing. Some say it just holds all knowledge that earth is allowed to have. So could be the tree that Adam and Eve had. The Druids are kind of that way. There's a cosmic tree of Latvia. It holds the birds at its branches, mammals at its base, and the serpents in its root, and it represents enlightenment. And the birds are enlightenment because they fly away with knowledge. The mammals at its base, which is instinct, because mammals tend to just go where their instinct tells them to go. And serpents in its roots, because snakes are always smarter than everything else. But yeah, this is a very... The tree of life belonged to the goddess. In the Egyptian lineage of Uset. Iusasit, who is said to conceive the lineage of all of she is the mother goddess of Egypt. The tree I cannot pronounce from Vedic mythology was said to produce an abundance of life-giving fruit for anyone who wished for it. So, like I said, all of these are a life tree. They're all, I don't want to say versions of Yggdrasil because that it shows a lot of bias on my part, and I have a lot of bias on my part. But all of these sacred mythological trees are the world tree. They're all how we see our universe. It is no mistake that all of these trees have the thick trunk, the roots that spread out, and then the branches that mimic it. And it's kind of an hourglass figure. If you look at lightning, it's the same thing. When a lightning strikes the human, it will sometimes bruise along the veins, but it also still looks like a tree. This is how we see life and death. This is, I want to say, racial memory. This comes from our ancestors. This comes from the cavemen hiding in the dark from the lightning and the storm and whatever creatures are out there. The heavens have always been above us. The underworld has always been below us. We bury our dead because we send them back to the underworld. Because that's where trees get their strength. They reach to the heavens because as they grow, they reach towards God. This is a universal concept in every culture. So what I'm looking at now will be, I'm going to have to jump back and forth. So I'm going to pull this out, and there's going to be a lot of touching of my laptop today. So we're looking at the 11 of the most sacred and iconic trees from around the world. So this is sites. These are actual sites that you can go and visit that have sacred trees on them, which is super awesome. And this was a site that I have read this website like 6 to 8 times since Vonna sent it to me. And I really do. You missed that part where I gave you all the credit and I said, Apocalypse Mom, thank you for doing all of my research for me because you gave me these 4 websites and all I had to do was read them. I didn't have to look up where I was going. Not to say I didn't, but my part will come in a little bit. So one of them is the Boabab, I think I'm saying it right, tree. And I find this super interesting and I really want to go here. So it is in Madagascar. And it is a common scene to witness people of Madagascar give the tree gifts. Honey, wine, archaic money. They're left around the trees. The trees grow huge in this giant grove down this road. Well, I guess it's a huge forest. But they believe that this is where the spirits of the ancestors reside. Like all of your ancestors come and live in these trees, and that's why the tree gets so big. Because the family members linger here, and then you go there and you give gifts to your ancestors and they bless you. And that is super awesome. But the fun part of it is the boab fruit contains an anti-aging nutrient. It's also rich in vitamin C, fiber, and calcium. So the tree produces healthy fruit that helps you live longer. Your ancestors bless you. You give the tree gift, and it helps you. It also aids in digestion and skin, hair, and nail rejuvenation. So, I mean, you can't really say it's not true. It's kind of cool. All right. Just flipping back to my Facebook to check everything out here. Hi, Madison and Chris. The underworld is the foundation. Heaven is the goal. Yes, Cece, that is absolutely the idea. It is universal that we come from the underworld, we return to the underworld. The land of the dead, spirit world, however you want to look at it, is always the beginning and the end. The gods reside above us, and in order for us to reach the godly plane, we have to go through the underworld and then ascend from there. Very few people do it living. His name was Elijah. He's the only one I know, and he's in the Bible. Chris, 11 of how many? So what I'm looking at right now is these are 11 sacred sites throughout the world. We kind of talked about the 12 trees of mythology, but how they are all actually just the world tree. I'm going to get to other trees, but this is like sites you can actually go and visit. The second one here is Dance Tree. And we're going to, I'm going to try to do this really crazy thing really quick. See if it works at all. Or I'm just going to throw my phone. That's fine too. Whatever. Whatevs. All right. So maybe if I can pull up my video. Okay. And for Ren's question, as I was ending the last video, yes, I do. I work on YouTube. I stream simultaneously. I am currently on both. I'm trying to see if I pull up my profile and I go to my current stuff and silence it. If I can see a running commentary.
And for Ren's question, as I was ending the last video.
No. Ha! Ha! There we go. Maybe. Okay. So, second tree, Dance Tree. This is fun. In the height of the Roman Empire, the Tens Linde, or Dance Tree, was utilized as a judicial courtroom. So they would literally come to this tree, sit around it, and hold court, like try criminals. But from what the other research I've done on this, because I found it super entertaining, it wasn't like true, no, that's not going to work. It wasn't like true court. It was more like small claims court. So like if you didn't need the actual governor, or that's not what they called him, the ruling parties of the city, to actually make the decision and have somebody executed, you would go to this place and there would be a small claims court and the people of your area would decide who was right. And if it was done under the tree, everybody accepted this justice, which is just cool that this tree told everyone what justice was. With the fall of the Roman Empire and the spread of Christianity, the linden tree remained as a symbol associated. Thank you, you're amazing. Remained as a symbol associated with justice and security, and because of that, it has been redevoted as a symbol of the Virgin Mary and 12 Apostles of Christ. So, I did not find a whole lot about that after that. There's one spot in Rome, but that's all I got, was that there's one spot in Rome. Like, I'm not sure if it's in Vatican City, but it's in Rome, where this is supposed to be a holy site. I did find information like it might have been actually about rededicated the Virgin Mary and the 12 Apostles because Christ spoke there. Because this was a gathering place. This was, you know. And so that is as much as I got on that one. So the Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree is the one we were talking about with... No, you don't hang them from the tree if they're guilty. See, this is small claims. So I owe you 2 goats. The tree, everybody under the tree gets a sense of justice from it, and therefore they decide at that point if that is what, like, so we all come to the tree, and the tree makes us feel like we have a sense of justice. So if everyone agrees, yes, Bob owes Jennifer 2 goats, then Bob pays Jennifer 2 goats because the tree gave us all this sense of justice, therefore we do it. Which sounds crazy, but that's how it was. So now we're going to talk about the Bodhi tree. which is fascinating to me because it's huge. Bodhi, I don't know, tree, which is fascinating to me. This is perhaps one of the most detailed sacred significance of all. Buddhists believe that it is under this tree that Buddha sat and actually meditated for 4 straight nights without a break and achieved enlightenment. This is where he became the Buddha. Therefore, the Buddha trees serve as a sacred temple. There are crops of them. That's not the word. Orchards of them all over Thailand. But the most famous one has a sculpture of Buddha wrapped around its roots as if it miraculously grew with it, and is located at a monastery in, and I'm going to slaughter this, I apologize, Apocalypse Mall, in Ayutthaya, Thailand. So this is a place you can actually go to and see it. They decorate it. They revere it. It is in a temple. They built a temple around it. This is where Buddha reached enlightenment. And it's listed as one of the world trees because it's at the center of the Buddhist culture. And I don't call it a religion because Buddhism is not a religion. It is understanding that the universe resides within you and becoming one with it, that they don't have a god. They understand that we all have our own divine spark. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to pop up on the computer. Anyway, so that's how this goes. We're going to go on to tree 4. Does anybody have any questions? I need to check that. I'm so sorry. I just went on. Like the tree was the witness and all the business done in its presence was bound to be so. Yes, exactly. Hi, Jessica. We're talking about sacred trees of the world. I hope if you have any questions, please just message. We're going to be on tree number 4 now. Well, technically 5 because we talked about the world tree and its different incarnations throughout the cultures of the world first. And now we're on tree number 5. These are places that you can actually visit in the world. So this tree is the Holy Thorn Tree of Glastonbury, and I love this story. So there are several different legends. The one this says is actually from a Unitarian church in Glastonbury, which I don't like that part because they don't necessarily have it right. But, and not that there's a right story from that long ago. However, Joseph of Arimathea, who is Christ's uncle, I think he is Mary's brother, after the crucifixion, traveled with certain relics that he took with him, and he ended up in England. That is known. That is culture upon culture upon culture tells this story of Joseph of Arimathea speaking with the Druids. So he planted a tree in England, and it is the Holy Thorn. This is the tree, some call it the Holy Grail, or Jesus's staff, or what have you. According to Druid legend, it is a branch of the tree used to create the crown of thorns. But however it was, whatever it was, Joseph of Arimathea planted it in Glastonbury because this was a holy site in England well before Christianity. Glastonbury is a tower, and all of the cone-shaped hills in England were considered footsteps or prints of God. So he planted the specimen, and it grew like overnight. And some specimen of that original stock has been regrown and replanted. It was destroyed in the English Civil War. It was destroyed in World War II. It was destroyed in World War I. Someone always has a clipping of it and always regrows. And that is why it is super, super important, because it doesn't matter how dead this tree is. You take a cutting of it and you stick it in the ground and it grows in that spot. It is said to bear flowers twice a year, during Easter and during Christmas. And it's hard to argue with that kind of thing. But that's in Glastonbury, England, and I'm fascinated by it. And I would love to go to England, and I would see these sites that not everybody else wants to see. I want to go see the Sacred Thorn Tree. Of course, I want to see Stonehenge, and I want to do a ritual at Stonehenge. That would be amazing. But I want to see the Abbey at Glastonbury. I want to see the Summer Lake. I want to see. Those are whole other things we'll talk about later in other sites, other things. So the holy significance, a twig of one of these thorns. Joseph of Arimathea was not biologically related to Jesus. He was a follower who took responsibility for burying him. Thank you, Apocalypse Mom. I always thought he was Mary's brother. Like always.
That's good to know.
Because he's always referred to as Jesus's uncle or Jesus's relative, and that's all kind of relative at that point, because family is who you choose back then. We didn't keep track of family like we do now. Not like that. If you spent enough time, you were family. That's how it worked. So a twig from one of these thorns trees is cut every year and sent to the royal family every winter. Every time. So that's amazing. We're going to move on to 5. I hope everybody's caught up to me.
Ever eaten.
So number 5 is the lone cypress. And I love cypress trees. Cypress trees tend to grow where nothing else will. They grow in the swamps of Louisiana, around the bayou. They grow along Pebble Beach in the state of California. Like literally the one we're talking about, the lone cypress, is literally on a rock outcropping that is covered in moss and one lone tree. But it's been there for 200 years, and it's on a rock hill in Pebble Beach in California. So is it sacred? Maybe not, but it is there, and it's been there forever, and, well, 200 years at least. And it is striking to see it on this rock jetty out there all by itself, where nothing else is growing, like not even grass. Literally, it's just the moss on the rocks and this tree. And that's fascinating to me. But again, that's all I got from it. There's no sacred place. There's no spirits. There's no haunted stories. Nobody's, tried to hurt themselves from this tree. This is just the way it is. But again, it's really close. It's in California. Maybe I'll try and go see that. So, shush. Maybe. We often talk about road trips we want to take in this group, so we'll see. Next, we're going to talk about the Tule or Tule tree of Mexico. So this is located in Santa Maria del Tule, a small town in a humble state of Oaxaca, Mexico. Oaxaca is about 100 miles north of Mexico City.
Yes.
That's 200 miles north of Mexico City, because it's goes Mexico City, San Miguel, and then Oaxaca. Oaxaca is actually a state.
Right.
I know. Like the lone cypress mentioned above, this tree does not have an actual sacred background attached to it. However, this tree at the time of the printing of this article measures 160 feet in circumference and weighs somewhere a near 550 tons, making it the largest living tree in the world. Unlike most popular myths and legends where giants are easily taken down by their foes, this tree is 3 centuries old, making it the oldest living organism on the planet. So it's located near a church where hundreds of locals and visitors come every year to witness its awe-inspiring size. It is believed that there are only 7 of these enormous trees known to be alive today, and are all found in Mexico, and that is why it is the Mexican national tree. And I'm sorry, if you are 3 centuries old, if you are 3 centuries old, there's something attached to you. I would love to see this. They have pictures of it and paintings of it in San Miguel where I went, but I didn't get to go to Oaxaca. That was quite a trip. So
Excuse me.
stop that.
I said excuse me.
Yes, but I'm still streaming and people are here. That is a giant tree, Chris. It is really, really beautiful though. All right, so number 7 is Abraham's oak. The word oak itself is connected to the word of God, El, which are Elon or Elon in Hebrew. This is an almost 5,000-year-old tree, is located allegedly in the place where God and his angels appeared to talk to Israel's founding father, Abraham. It is believed that it was under this tree that Abraham would receive the news of him having a child, which was then named Isaac. Although it has been reported that the original stem has long been dead. Let me read this exactly because I want to make sure I got it correct. Although it has been reported that the original stem has long been dead since the year 1996, an astonishing sign of life sprouted after 1 to 2 years provides great hope for the Christian world. So they went to what's known as the Abraham tree, and they checked it out, and everything was dead. And so they were like, oh, and now all of a sudden the tree is sprouting new signs of life. So I have not been able to find any current articles on the Abraham tree, but I will look that up because I'm actually interested in how big it has grown and whether or not they had to cut it to rebuild it or for it to regrow, or if they just planted a branch and it grew like the thorn. Those kind of things are really interesting to me, like whether or not the sacred trees just regrow because they're sacred. There's enough belief in them to give them life. So now we're going to talk about number 8 on our list, the bristlecone pine. And this is known as the immortal tree. It grows in a high altitude, almost 10,000 feet to be exact. Temperatures can reach below freezing. Humans and some animals are capable of existing in places. However, the bristlecone pine are not known to survive in the coldest of temperatures, but surpass their own survival rate. This is also known as the Prometheus or Methuselah tree. One of them is discovered in the White Mountains. Said to have lived to be 4,843 years old. Another one is said to have lived a little bit longer than that. But geologists are actually looking for proof of the Ice Age glaciers in its core. But the problem with these trees is you can't drill into them to get a core sample. It'll kill the tree. And you don't want to destroy something that is so big and so living, so old, So again, these are really big, huge, giant old trees. And these are pine trees, so they're scattered throughout the planet. I will look it up and see if I can actually get I'm sorry, I will see if I can actually get an actual location for these trees. These trees are extremely resistant to all natural invasions that may cause other species of tree to rot, such as fungus and infection. In fact, they are believed to still be rooted on the ground and can live for hundreds of years, even if they become somewhat biologically dead. They frigging hibernate. So that's a thing. I've never known a tree to hibernate, but this tree hibernates. So I need to look more into this. I did not get to look into the bristlecone pine as much as I wanted to, and find out exactly where it is so I could go find it. Because I was busy looking into this one. So this is the sycamore, specifically the sycamore. From the Greek word sikon, meaning fig, and moros, meaning blackberry bush, the sycamore tree is perhaps the most mentioned species of tree in the Christian Bible. From the time of King Solomon up to the time of Christ, there are numerous citations. It doesn't necessarily have a sacred meaning, but the sycamore tree Christ would preach unto them. Everything happens near a sycamore. I don't know if it's just prevalent in the area, but this is the most mentioned tree. Although the cross was actually made out of ash, I believe. So perhaps instead of defining sycamore tree as a pilgrimage for worship, the real and deeper meaning that it could best serve is the additional sense of factuality of the Bible itself. So the idea is that this tree is sacred because it gives its numerous mentions, and hey, this was located in this city under this tree and the tree still is there, kind of gives a validity to the teachings and writings in the Bible. Then we're going to discuss the almond tree, which again, kind of like the sycamore, is mentioned several times in the Older Testament, Exodus, Genesis, and Jeremiah. It is the first to grow leaves in the spring and the last to grow leaves last to lose the leaves in autumn. So it is longer lived than other trees. It is considered sacred amongst other cultures, and they are grown in sacred groves. Almonds are, which is weird. And they help the bees because they actually grow flowers. So bees are important. Love the bees. Okay. Bob, hi Bob, and Jamisha. Hi Jamisha. We're just talking about trees and how they are sacred to the world. We're going to talk about the palm tree now. So this is not necessarily a single tree either. So this is not necessarily all the palms that you see like in California or wherever either. This is about the specific palms that grow in the Holy Land, because there's a reason it's called Palm Sunday. This particular event in Jesus' life is the reason palm trees, specifically its leaves, become a religious symbol. As is written in the New Testament, Jesus, together with his apostles, visit Jerusalem and were greeted with a grand welcome by the locals, who put palm leaves on the ground as Jesus passed through Jerusalem. So nowadays, all over the Christian world, Christians do the same thing as remembrance of this event by attending Holy Mass with palm leaves, which will then be blessed by the celebrating priest. The palm leaves become a religious icon, which signifies the start of one of Christianity's most sacred events. So that is a thing. As the Holy Scripture states, everything that has been created in this world is more than enough to provide all human needs. Trees and plants are just some of these. It's undeniable. We take these things for granted. Love your trees. That's the lesson of that. Love your trees. So now we're going to look at a list here. So I have 9. This other list has 10. I'm going to quickly look through them and try to see which one. I'm betting the one that says 10 sacred trees is a landscaping site. And we're going to find out what its comments are. Pull out of the thing and go on your own thing. Thank you very much. Now go back there. Thank you very much. Yay. Okay. So 10 sacred trees. Willow, ash. Yes, so this is the same list. Oh, it adds the cypress, specifically the Italian cypress, which I don't know why it does. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. I'm just going to breeze through here really quick because I want to talk about some of these trees the other way. So on this list is the willow tree. People plant it in gardens, especially Zen gardens. It always needs to be near water. It is believed in Japanese tradition that if you plant willows, they will attract spirits and ghosts. And so they are often associated with death. That's a thing. They're also considered sacred in Wicca, and they're dedicated to the goddess of Hecate, the goddess of the moon. Ash tree is sacred to the Celts and Norse mythology. The ash tree is... okay, sorry. I got really bad information on this site, and it made me angry. Warrior Heart. Honey, I don't know who Warrior Heart is, but hi. Hi. Thank you for the heart. We love you too. I don't know screen names as well as I should, so if you want to private message me. Ren. Oh, okay. Hi, honey. You changed your name and now I don't know you. Okay. I mean, I still know you. I love you. So the ash tree is what Odin hung from for a long time. This is a whole. I will have to do this talk of Odin and hanging from trees and the 3 quests of Odin. That'll be a whole other talk for another day. But that's the thing. The sacred oak, the Italian cypress. Oh, gosh, that's so sad. Known as the mournful tree, the Italian cypress has been associated with death and mourning for the past 2,000 years. Planted in Islamic and European cemeteries, the tree's legend goes back to ancient Greece and Roman mythology, where a man named Cypressus accidentally killed his stag and begged the gods to punish him with eternal grief. Granting his wish, the gods turned him into a cypress tree, which would stand forever and mourn the dead. That is so sad, because when you plant them in straight lines, and they look like soldiers lining up to mourn. That's terrible. And then the Bodhi tree, which we've discussed. It is a sacred fig. All right. The witch tree. Okay, so this grows on the shores of a lake in Minnesota, and it is sacred among the Chippewa Indian tribe. The earliest records of this lone tree date back to 1731. From the fear of it being vandalized, the tribe purchased the land, and people are now prohibited to come near the tree. It is called the Little Cedar Spirit Tree or the Witch Tree, and like the lone cypress, it grows on a rock outcropping in the middle of a lake, or on the shores of a lake in Minnesota. That's awesome. And yeah, it doesn't even look like moss grows on those rocks. So, okay, and then we have the banyan tree. I'm just kind of checking our notes and stuff. I've got people. Got to head out. Thank you for sharing and educating as always. We're here every week, Jennifer, at 8 o'clock. Sunday, 8 o'clock. Join us. We love you. So we're going to talk about the banyan tree. It is sacred in Buddhism and as well as Hindu. Native to Southeast Asia, the tree's uniqueness lies in its aerial roots. They spread upward, eventually becoming accessory trunks. Due to this shape, it represents eternal life. Krishna uses the banyan tree as a symbol to describe the true meaning of life to the warrior Arjuna. So yeah, the banyan tree is really awesome. Its roots don't actually go into the ground really. They kind of just are. Maybe I'll get a picture and see if I can get it up in the comments here. Let me see. Hold on. Copy image. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Paste. Maybe? No? Okay. I'll have to do it the other way. Save image as. Sorry. I danced for no reason. Kind of crazy that way sometimes. No, it's not letting me put in anything but an emoji. I'll put it in the description. After the video, I'll drop one in the comments. Okay, so the banyan tree. And then there is the Lebanese cedar, which is not on my list. Which I'm surprised cedar is not on my list. It's Phoenician, and it is economic significance due to its preciousness and power of its wood. It's a symbol of ability to age for thousands of years and withstand snowy mountain climate. Yeah. The boab we've talked about. The Christmas tree, I'm not talking about that. It's a fir. They specifically talk about the fir and Christmas trees. So we're going to close that one out. Now we're going to talk about the 9 sacred woods of Wicca, or Druidism, or the Celtic stuff. Witchcraft, whatever. I don't like to give it a title because these 9 trees are pretty much just sacred to everybody. A lot of them we've already kind of talked about. But also these have, like, you use them in a bonfire or a fire or a spell work or what have you for certain purposes. We start with birch. It's the white tree with the black stripes. We have red birches out in front of my house, and they're amazing. But it stands for fertility and healing and protection. We get this information from learnreligions.com. And it does not just teach Wicca. It teaches religion in general. I'm liking it a lot. But right now I'm reading an article called The 9 Sacred Woods of the Bonfire. It talks about the birch tree. When a forested area burns, the birch is first to grow back, and therefore it's associated with birth and rebirth and regeneration. It is also associated with creativity, fertility, and healing, as well as protection. It is the first month of the Celtic tree calendar, following winter solstice. It has an Ogham symbol, and you use them for, it is one of the things that you would use for broomstick. So, there we go. And then the second tree would be the rowan. The rowan tree is associated with astral travel, personal power, and success. It is also known to be planted in graveyards to prevent the dead from lingering around too long. It's really good for banishment and sending spirits on their way. That's why it's also good for astral travel. So, the ash tree in Norse lore, Odin hung from Yggdrasil, the world tree, for 9 days and 9 nights so that he might be granted wisdom. The Yggdrasil is believed to be an ash tree, in theory. It's also sacred to the god Lu, who is celebrated at Lughnasadh, which I will go over at Lughnasadh. But it also is associated with divine truth. So, prophetic dreams, spiritual journeys, understanding yourself, that kind of thing. Wands. Ash is really good for wands. Sorry. There's food next to me that I'm not eating because I'm doing my stream, because inevitably I always do my stream right at dinner time. And now I'm starving, and that's just the way it is. I know. Oh, because I didn't do it the right way. That's why. I keep hitting the button to change tabs, and it didn't change tabs because I didn't have a tab to change. All right, so now we're going to talk about alder, which is not the same as elder, just so everyone knows. Alder is good for making spiritual decisions, for prophecy, for intuition, specifically intuition. Alder flowers and twigs are known to be used as charms against or in fairy magic. Don't do that. Fairy magic, intuition, music. Whistles were once made out of alder shoots to call the air spirits, so it's the ideal wood for making panpipes or flutes, if you're musically inclined. Then there's the willow, used for healing, protection from spirits, but it's also used for growth and knowledge. You can make beehives out of willow bark. It's kind of cool. It's a healing herb. They make banks of rivers stronger with their roots. So if you've had a flood or something's threatening to cave, plant willow. It's cool. Hawthorn, which is not to be mixed up with blackthorn. Those are different. Blackthorn is a sacred tree, but I'll get into that in a minute. Hawthorn is associated with masculine power, business decisions, professional connections. The hawthorn grows in tandem with ash and oak. It is said to bring the fae. This is what creates fae circles. Pixie rings, fairy rings, whatever you want to call it. It is also used as prickly. It actually has thorns. That's why it's a hawthorn. The thorn tree is associated with cleansing, protection, and defense. You tie a red thorn with a red ribbon. You tie a thorn with a red ribbon and use it as a protection amulet in your home, or place it under a baby's crib to keep away bad energy. So it's kind of cool. Then there's the oak, and the oak means door for a reason. It is protection and strength and fertility and good fortune and success, and the English use it for everything. It was associated with leaders. It is so oak is one of those trees that is it's considered a god tree, or a king tree. We talk about the holly king and the ivy king, and that is the transformation of the year, the holly king in the winter and the ivy king in the summer. But oak just kind of runs above all that for the whole year. Oak is the tree. That's kind of how that works. It's weird, but the holly tree is next. And the holly tree, it represents growth, transition, and change because it does signal the change in the year. But it's also used in protective magic. It will bloom all year. Not the berries, but the leaves don't die off. So, but it does represent the transition from the growing time into the dying season. And then, of course, there's hazel. Hazel is often associated with Celtic lore around sacred wells and magical springs containing the salmon of knowledge. The salmon of knowledge is much like the koi. He will actually speak to you. He will grant you forbidden knowledge you're not supposed to know. And, good luck with things you're not supposed to know, because that always has its own danger with it. You ask the salmon or the koi for information, and he goes, "Are you sure? Okay." And then he watches you as you mess it up because you have knowledge you're not supposed to know and you didn't learn yourself. It's kind of fun. But the hazel is wisdom and knowledge and dowsing and divination and dream journeys. So also a good tree for wands, good branches for wands, depending on what you want to do. And the last tree we talk about is the elder. It's an actual bush, the elderberry bush. And it is the one thing it's forbidden to grow or forbidden to burn. I'm not sure why, but it never goes in your bonfire. You don't burn it. One, you don't eat elderberries. Don't touch the elder tree. It's poisonous. But you don't burn it. You don't put it in your bonfires. You don't put it in your spells. You don't do that. It is considered the lady's tree. It's the tree of the mother. You don't touch it. You don't mess with it. So there we go. That is my talk on trees. I know I just kind of sat here and babbled at you for an hour. Hi, Kenzie. Hi, Mom. You guys got here just at the end. I'm sorry about that. Mom, I'm coming for cookies tomorrow after work, 4:30-ish, if that's okay. I need cookies. For those of you who don't know, Tim's mom has Girl Scout cookies, and everybody should have Girl Scout cookies. So, that is my talk on trees. Don't do fairy magic, or do magic of the tree. So, here's the don't do fairy magic. Don't attempt fairy magic. Do not play with fairies.
Excuse me again.
Paco, That's what happens when you play with fairies. They'll actually
I don't
make
play
you
with
sick.
fairies. I don't like fairies.
Stop. So, don't play with fairies. Don't do fairy magic. Don't attempt to do fairy magic. If you have a book that goes, hey, if you combine these things, you can just attack the fae, stop doing that. Whether you believe in the fae or not, there are entities and energies out there that are mischievous. It's not that they mean you harm. It's not that they're trying to hurt you. They just don't understand. And fae happen to be one of them, and they will mess up your stuff or steal your stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at here. So that is my talk on trees. My talk on fae is an entirely another talk, and I don't have another hour to do that tonight. I still have to eat and then get ready for work tomorrow. Our next talk is on Valentine, St. Valentine, which will be next Sunday. I know it's after Valentine's Day. But I like him. He's one of my favorite saints, and the only one I actually ever give a talk to. Hi, Josie, you missed my entire talk on trees. I'm so sad, but I love you. Kenzie, to answer your question, don't destroy the ring of mushrooms. Stepping in it shouldn't be a problem. Don't just stand there and mock them. They'll follow you home. But if you don't notice, you don't notice. Don't panic. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Ren, if you're still there, I say hi. There's 3 of you, but I don't only see 2. I really wish people would speak to me more. Anyway, that's okay. So the blog will come out on Tuesday. I missed a week, and I'm letting myself go because this week was really kind of hard. Next week, we'll be talking about St. Valentine. If you want to hear something between now and then, let me know. If you have ideas, let me know. So that's it. Like, subscribe, hit the button, follow, tell your friends, spread the message, get the word out, boost the signal. Why do we boost the signal? Because you can't stop the signal, Mal. I love you all. Love you, love you, love you. I will see you in the next video. If you came in late, this will start over. Give it a couple of minutes. Catch up. I liked today's talk. It was fun for me. So, because there's some that there's presents known at my house. I'd like you to do an episode on the Fae. I will do an episode on the Fae, that kind of like a fact and fiction, Chris. Is that what you're kind of looking for? I will try to do that. A talk on Fae, sprites, pixies, kind of thing. We'll see. What I come up with and how it works. All right. So, my love to you all, and I will see you in the next video. Wednesday's Quarter World. Don't forget, Side Seat Gamer. End it.